Hello friends, welcome to C# Intermediate to Advanced tutorial. Now we are looking at the subseries thread states. In this video, we will implement the example and query the thread state. So as usual, we imported two namespaces, system threading and system diagnostics. Then we declared thread T1 and we kept it as null. So it's a member of our form class. Then we have a thread procedure also. Okay, let's look at the procedure. Here we declared a counter. The counter at present is 0. Then if you see here, we are creating a for loop, and this for loop will run for a long period of time. So the loop counter here is such a big number. So in our case, you start with a lowest number. Let's take 30,000, and check how quick the for loop runs. So then you start increasing the number. Once you see the for loop runs for some 5 to 6 seconds, then you can fix this number. So here we took this big number. Why? Because we want to make a thread busy for a long period of time, so that we can click on the check and we can see it is in a running state. So you can mimic this as a long process by putting a big sleep time. You can make a call to sleep and you can put a 5 second or 10 second, but it will be hard to check the running state of a thread. So that's why here we put a big number, and you have to experiment this number. As already told, start with the lowest number. Lowest means 30,000 or 3 lakh, then increase it and make sure it will run for few seconds. And don't put too much big number, then you have to kill your running session if it runs for a long period. Since it's a long running for loop, when you are experimenting it, it will consume your CPU time also. So experiment and fix this number. Here I just took this number on my medium speed running laptop. All right, next. So this, if you see, so almost 3 billion, and so here it is 0.2 of a billion. So that means here the loop will run for, let's state this 4-digit number 3000, and in which I am dividing this into 200 slot, and with a I percentage this we will come inside the loop and we will increment this counter, and periodically we will state thread busy. And if you see, this debug dot write line will print thread busy in the console window, right? That means it's keep on running this for loop, and in between we will come inside and we will report thread is busy. So when you see thread busy in the debug output window, that's a good time to click on this check button to examine the thread state. All right, next when you are inside the busy state, we are checking the counter, and when counter is running at 4, that means you entered or you printed this thread busy 4 times. When you are printing it for the 4th time, we will put debug.print with ZZZ. So that means the thread is sleeping and snoring. Okay, thread is sleeping, and here it is sleeping for 4 seconds, and after 4 seconds it will wake up and state thread is ready. So this 4-second period is enough for us to click the check button and look at the state, what state the thread is reporting. Alright, so this is the thread procedure. Then here you can see thread busy. It prints 4 times, then it goes to the sleep mode. Here it will be 4-second sleep, then you will be seeing ready, then you will be seeing thread busy periodically. So how quick this thread busy prints depends on how quick your CPU is running, because it's a for loop without any sleep. Sleep we are giving based on this percentage, right? Percentage division. So once you come inside this if condition, and if you are coming here for 4th time, the time only we are making the thread to sleep. Here the thread will be blocked. All other times it will be busy and running this loop continuously. So that's why you will be seeing this thread busy periodically, then it will sleep. So likewise it will keep on running until the loop counter reaches the target number and it quits. That means the thread exits the thread procedure and the thread will terminate. Next, during the form load, if you see, this is the thread T1, right? Here we are constructing the thread T1 equal to new thread, and we are constructing the thread start. So for the thread constructor, we are giving the delegate thread start, and for the thread start, we are providing the thread procedure. So here if you see, during the form load we constructed the thread, but we haven't yet started. So at this stage, so once form is loaded and when you click check, it will report that a thread not started. So it will not be in running state, right? So you will be getting a not started. Then during the CMD start click, so this is the start button, we already created the thread T1. T1 is the member here, and T1.start, this will run this procedure and the thread will move on to the running state, and in the debug output window you will be seeing these messages. And running and terminated thread cannot be started again. So that's why we are making the visibility of this button as false. You can keep this as true, and when thread is running you can try clicking this again and see what happens. Because here we are having a thread and the thread instance is created in the form load, and if you click the start button again, you are accessing the same thread instance, so you will be getting the error. So you can click start thread, and if you create a new thread and start it, it will work. But if you are dealing with the existing thread, you cannot start it again when the thread is running or even if it is terminated. So that's why we are hiding it. Next, if you see for suspend button click, since we have the thread instance on our thread instance, we are making call to T1.suspend. So this will move the thread state from running to suspended state, and once you click resume, we are making call to T1.resume. That means here the suspended thread will wake up and start running. That means here the transition will be from suspended to running state. Here running to suspended state. That's what happens. Then, so this is our thread procedure. Here, when you click check button, we already have T1, right? From T1, we will access the property thread state. Then we are converting that to string and we are storing that here. So this will report the state of a thread and in our list box. So this is the list box items.add. So first we add the date and not a date, just a time, hour, minute, second. You can see that 10, 21, 20. So that's the time. I took this screenshot by running it. So plus, and we already enquired the thread state, right? And we are printing that. So that's the format here you are seeing. Time, this symbol, then the state of the thread. And this will get printed whenever you click the check button. So you can click this check button periodically. Next, this is to scroll the here. If you see number of item can fit, height means this is the height, list box height. Then item height means this is one item right here, this height. So let's state list box height as h1 and this one as a small h1. And if you see, we are dividing this h1 by small h1. That means it will give number of item can fit. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's what this one will give number of item that can fit in a list box. So if you resize this dialog box and if the list box grows, it will give a different number. So the time if it fits a 15, then it will give 15. So first we calculate number of item can fit in the current size of the list box. Then we use that to set the top index. If you see, we are counting the number of items because we don't know how many time we will click this check. So based on if you click it 20 times, there will be 20 item, and we will be busy in clicking this checkbox. So we no need to scroll this, it will be annoying. That's why we will be doing the auto scrolling here. Number of items, then number of item can fit. Say for example, if 10 item can fit and number of item is 20, 20 minus 10 equal to 10. That means we want to set top index as 10. That means remaining 10 indexes are scrolled up, and you will be seeing the bottom 10 index here, right? So that's the way we scroll this scroll box. That's the way we scroll this list box by setting the top index. All right, so this is not related to thread state, but here is the important stuff. And if you see, it's a simple property. Thread state, we can convert that as to string, and that will tell us under what state the thread is currently in. Suppose in your coding, if you want to examine a specific thread state, you can use t1.threadState. Also, here we can check how a thread will transition from one state to another state. All right, now we will go ahead and implement this. So here is our form. We will go to the coding section, and first we will import the required namespace. Next, as a class member, we are declaring a thread. Here we will be having our thread procedure. So the code was already explained in the PowerPoint slide. So next we need to handle the form load. So I'm going here. So on the form load, we are creating the thread instance. Next we can handle this start thread. Here we are starting our thread, and if you see thread proc we already defined. So thread will be created during the form load, and it will be started when you click the thread start button. So at this stage, now we will run this. We'll just examine the output window and see what happens. So if you see, thread BC is printing, and in between you are getting Z. So that's all. Our thread exited. So when user clicks submit, so when we click submit, we want to suspend the thread the same way. The same way we want to resume the thread, resume the suspended thread. Then finally we have to click the handle the checkbox, check button click event, and here we retrieve the thread state, gets a value containing the states of a current thread. So that's the way we can retrieve the state of a thread, and here we are printing that in the list box item. And this check click is in the UI context itself. Only the thread cannot directly access the form UI. Since the CMD check all this event routine runs on the form UI, we can freely access all the controls. Here thread is not updating anything. Since we hold the thread reference in hand, we means the main thread, it is making use of T1 and enquiring the state, then printing those enquired thread state in the list box. Now we can run this again. We'll clear this. So this output window will help us when to click the check. So we will run this multiple times. First time what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the thread, and I will suspend it and resume it, and in between I will click the check. So since form is loaded, now thread instance is ready. If I check it, it will state that thread is unstarted. Now I'm starting the thread, and you will be seeing it goes busy. Now when I check, it states running. So now I suspended it, and if I check, it will state thread is suspended. Now let me resume it, and I will check. It is stating run. In between it is printing WaitSleepJoin also. And if you see, now you are getting a thread stopped. So in this example, we checked the thread state between multiple interval, First, the thread was in unstarted state. Once I click the start button, it started and running. And when I click the check button, it returned the thread is in running state. Then when the thread is sleeping, the time when I click check, it mentioned that wait sleep join. Then we suspended the thread and enquired it. After resuming it, we saw the thread moved from suspended to running state. So let's run this once again. So thread started. Whenever we see busy, the time we will click. And if you see a different part of time, the thread is in a running state. And if you see, the thread is stopped. That means here also you are seeing in between you see thread busy and it is sleeping for 4 seconds, waking up, then it become busy, and after some point in time the thread exited. And once the thread is exited, if I click the check, I still hold the thread reference and the state tells that it is stopped. Stopped means the thread finished its duty. It came out of the thread procedure and it stopped. So let me run this again. This time I will just click the check button when thread is in sleeping state. Let's wait for Z to come. I clicked it 2 times. Now it's busy. Gone to sleeping mode. I'm clicking 3-4 times. And if you see, it's reporting properly that when thread is in a sleeping state. But this state is for a combination of states. So the state will be returned when our thread is waiting on the event and wait we haven't yet covered, or if our thread is in sleeping state. Yeah, so here in this example we are in sleeping state, so the state is returned. And if this thread is waiting for some other thread to finish its duty, and if it is blocked, then also you will get the same state. So this state is for wait, sleep, as well as join. Alright, so that's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.